Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the M Word. My name's Robin, and I'm the Technical Director here at Man & Machine in the UK. And once again, it's a pleasure to have you with us this afternoon. For those of you that are new to these sessions, we air them weekly on Thursdays at 2 p.m. And the idea around these short 20-minute, half an hour live sessions is to share something inside of one of the Autodesk design applications that we sell and support here at Man & Machine in the UK. Today, we're looking at a program called Vehicle Tracking, which is an add-in for AutoCAD, an official add-in. Autodesk acquired the AutoTrack functionality many moons ago, and this sits within the AEC Collection. So it's actually something that I feel is quite underutilized, and if you're having to do master planning or site plans inside of AutoCAD, it's a really good way in which you can visualize how vehicles could move around your site. So today we're going to jump in and show you a real quick example and really teach you how to get up and running quickly and easily. It's not a difficult piece of software to use, although we're not going to show you all of the different functionality. We're going to focus on the main way of getting vehicles moving around your plans. If you haven't already, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let us know what you want to see. These sessions are more valuable to you if you give us your feedback and let us know what content, what tools, and what things you want to see next. So if there's a particular tool or a workflow or a process that you're struggling with, be it inside of a manufacturing solution, be it inside of a construction solution, drop us a comment, drop us an email, and let us know what you want to see. And I'll be more than happy to go through those workflows live next week or whenever you get back to us. Without further ado, let's just share my screen and shrink myself down into the corner and show you that we're just sat inside of AutoCAD 25. Vehicle tracking, the process is kind of the same and has been for several years now. So if you're running 24 or 23, what you learn during this video, you'll be able to push through and use that same functionality, although some of the libraries for vehicles and settings might be slightly different. But generally, it sits inside of AutoCAD. So to install it, you want to go to your Autodesk account, so manage.autodesk.com, go to your applications list, search for vehicle tracking, and download it. It's a very small download, and it will install on top of AutoCAD. So you must have AutoCAD installed first. And then all I've done is I've taken one of the AutoCAD sample files for the purpose of this tutorial today, the one called Master Site Plan. If I go and just open this on my screen here, it's a read-only file because it is a sample, but this particular document it's a master plan, so it has some roads, so it's a really good example of how we can use this tool set. And if you want to use the same file when you're following me along, you want to go up to the AutoCAD application icon at the top left, use the drop-down, scroll down to Open, hover over the right-hand side arrow, followed by Sample Files, and choose Installed Sample Files. That will take you to a location on your hard drive. From there, what I did is I went into the Sheet Sets folder, went into the Civil folder. Was it the Civil folder? No, I'm telling Porcupines. I went into what did I go into? Bear with me. I did this yesterday. Let me go ahead and find which one it was. I can't find it now. How mad. I'm sure it was under Sheet Sets. Maybe I'm going crazy. Bear with me. Back a couple. I'm sure it's under Civil. It is under Civil. Scratch the last thing that I said for the past 30 seconds and do what I said first of all. I should have more trust in myself. So under the Civil folder, there's Master Site Plan. I've just used that one. You won't be able to save it. So if you want to save it, create a local copy on your desktop, just copy paste, and make sure that it's not read-only by going into the properties of the file. But this will open this file. Head over into your model space. And essentially, yes, it's all XREF, but it gives us some nice geometry that we can work with. Because what vehicle tracking allows us to do is place a vehicle onto your drawing and drive that vehicle around those roads to see, have you got a large enough radius on a corner for a bus to get round or a standard car? Can the car get into and navigate around the car park safely? And things like that. Really useful tool and does a lot of things very, very easily actually, and things that you would expect to be a little bit more complicated. So with this file open, I'm just first of all going to go into my settings. This is an American file, so it's in feet and inches. So I'm going to make sure that under settings, so vehicle tracking on the tab at the top, go to settings, and I'm going to make sure that my drawing units are correctly represented. Represented. There we go. Can't talk today. Too much tea for lunch, clearly. So yes, set this to your units as necessary. So this particular drawing is in feet, so I'm going to set it to feet. And I'm going to leave everything else as it is. You have got other options where you can go and configure things like the preferred distance, your preferred speed, and you can come in and tweak these and configure them as you see fit. There is an advanced option here where you can come in and really go to town with a load of vehicle specific settings. I'm going to leave everything as default. As I said, it's not for today to go through all of those settings and what they're used for, but clearly you want to go through those in your own time and understand and make sure that the system is configured to suit the standards and the workflows that you are drawing to. So I'm going to go ahead and press finish to set my options. Vehicle tracking will then prompt you, do you want to save those as default? I've selected yes in my case, but you can choose what you wish on that particular screen. Once you've been through the settings, you can go and open them up again at any time and reset them. It's completely up to you. And you've also got a separate arrow here next to settings at the bottom, where you can drop down and look at more specific settings. For example, you've got the ability to import and export those settings should you need to share between different drawings, which is really, really useful. So we've set our default settings and now we're ready to go and do something. And we're going to do a couple of things in here just to show you how the tools work. So the first selection that we're going to use is the Auto Drive tools. Now, the Auto Drive tools gives you several different options. I'm just going to use an Auto Drive arc because that kind of gives me what it is that I want to do. But you've also got the ability to go and choose very specific bearing options, bearing 30, bearing 45, all the way up to bearing 180, if you want to very specifically look at driving a very given thing. But for my purpose of this example, we're going to use the Auto Drive arc, which essentially is going to allow us to continually draw a path using the same kind of workflow that you would use if you were using an arc inside of AutoCAD, but it's going to attach a vehicle onto that arc. So go ahead and click Auto Drive arc. And then what's going to happen is we're going to get some drawing settings pop up. And again, it's just worth clarifying what comes up in here and make sure that you are happy. Again, I'm going to leave these all as completely default, but go and check them and make sure they are as you want them to be. When you've got them set correctly, you're going to go ahead and click OK. From there, it's going to give you the ability to place down a vehicle on the road. So we can go and choose where to place our vehicle. So I can say, do you know what? I want to come down this road, see if I can turn this corner and see if my vehicle can get in and around this car park, for example. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to select maybe the tip of this arrow, and I'm going to choose to click once on the tip of the arrow to place the base point of my vehicle, and then I'm going to come and click again to define my default location for rotation. So I'm going to go and select that as such. We're then going to get a pop-up on our screen. Now, you might have not quite got this far yet. I've just realized that my default vehicle is being driven automatically inside of here. So it hasn't actually asked me to select a vehicle, whereas in your case, it may well be asking you at this point to go ahead and select a vehicle. So if you have followed me so far, then go ahead and click this little button here, and that will open up your vehicle library. If you haven't got this far, you'll just see like a vehicle selection window that looks similar to this. We want to go through and use this to select the vehicle that we want to use for the purpose of our drawing. Now, typically speaking, you want to focus, if you're watching in the UK, around these British design vehicles, where we can open up with the little plus here, and we can see that we've got a load of different British design vehicles. You will recognize some of these standard numbers, which you can use to place vehicles around your design. So I can go to my FTA 2016, for example, and I can see that I've got a, what have we got? A 13/18 ton rigid vehicle. We've got a articulated vehicle. We've got a slightly smaller vehicle. We've got London Fire Brigade vehicles. We've got Transport for London vehicles. I'm going to come down and select the, where is it gone now? We want to go in and choose a fairly default vehicle, which, let's go under DB32 and let's go and pick the DB32 private car. There are some others that might be more, let's say, appropriate for your designs, but go and find the one that you're after. I'm just going to use this DB32 private car. You'll notice, as well as being able to select them, you can also create your own vehicles. So you can go through a vehicle wizard to create your own. And it goes through the process of guiding you through what you need geometry-wise and how you need to configure that geometry. But for today, we're going to select this, this private car. No, we don't want a tractor. Why is that picking up a tractor? Where's my standard car gone? Why can't I find it? Let me find it. Hang on, bear with me. Serves me right yesterday for playing with articulated lorries. So we're going to go and find... We're going to find... Why can't I find it? There we go. So under the ICE car pack, standard design vehicle. Go and pick standard design vehicle, highlight it and press proceed. That will select that vehicle. So if you followed me along before, you will be at this point where the vehicle is placed. If not, go and click your base point and then click again to specify the rotation. And at this point, your vehicle will be placed and it will be ready to go. We've got some further, let's call them tweaking or adjustment tools, where we can further orientate the vehicle or further adjust the view to suit what it is that we're working with. Again, I'm going to leave this completely default. This is a one-way road. I'm happy that my car is positioned in the middle of the road, and I'm going to press proceed. We get a pop-up at the top, which is giving us the ability to specify some minimum radius, the clearance offsets that we're looking at. And again, I'm going to leave them off. I'm going to leave everything on here as off the shelf and default, because I want to show you what the tools are doing based on the car that we've got selected. But should you want to work with a minimum radius or a minimum clearance, then you can turn those on and the tool will allow you to draw in that way. And as you can see, as I move my mouse, we've got these lines appearing. And you can see that it's showing us, if I zoom in, the movements of the wheels on the car and on the vehicle. And it's also showing us how the car takes up different types of space as it moves. So the green lines are representing the swing of the bodywork, for example, as the car goes round the corner, which is really quite useful. So if you see what we've got in that particular position, the green line represents where the front left bumper, what's the extent of that as the car moves in this way. Anyone that's familiar with animation or anything like that, more clicks are better here, but I'm going to be fairly lazy and do less clicks. But I'm going to come in and just click a few times around my design. And I'm going to come in and turn into this loading bay. No, I'm not. I'm going to go onto the main car park. Forget that. So let's come around here and let's keep drawing. And you can see that as you draw, it's just like drawing an arc or a spline. I'm going to draw and snap onto this final arrow here. And then I'm going to start turning into the car park. Now, as you turn, your minimum radius will be controlled by the car. But if you start turning a little bit, you'll see that your next set of radiuses could be tighter, dependent on the car. But we're going to come in and turn into our car park just here. And then I'm going to continue to draw around the car park. We can get a really good appreciation of how a car might move into this car park using these tools. What I can then do is I can, when I'm happy, press return on my keyboard, and that will give me that, that track or that outline or path that that particular vehicle will follow. And you can see that that's made up of a few different colors. I've got the green, which again is the path that the bodywork will take. And we've also got the red, which is where the tire swing will be on that particular car. You can see here that if you zoom in, you've got the tires, the center of the tire is the red, and the bodywork is the green. Those lines have been made with a layer. So as you draw these components inside of vehicle tracking, you start getting layers, ATR01, so auto track. That's what the software was called before Autodesk acquired it. And then you've got the layer 01. And that allows you to control these layers and turn them off and back on again in order to be able to control the visibility of these as you go through. What you can also do with this particular design is you can make changes. So by selecting that, that path, we can come in and select any one of these points and we can play with them. So I can click this point here and I can tweak and play with the path. You need to be careful because remember, you're moving a car essentially using these drawing tools. So if you go too far away, you're going to invalidate that route and make it so the car cannot get back to the path if you're meddling with a point that's midway through, like so. So just be careful if you're making those tweaks on the fly, but it does support the ability to customize and tweak those workflows and those paths on the fly, which is really very nice. The other thing that you can do with the path, if you select the vehicle tracking tab with the path selected, is you've got some feedback options at the top right of our swept path here. For example, I can say that I want to place outline. And what place outline allows me to do is place more versions of this car around the car park or around that path in any way to make sure that I'm happy with the way that that car is working. For example, if our route completely had cars coming in and out of here, we could check to see, okay, realistically, can we get a car coming in at the same time as a car coming out? And we can choose what the car is placed like by using the tick boxes at the top here, by specifying whether you want the annotations on there or just the outline of the car. Do you want to have the symbols on there? And we can control exactly what we have at any particular point in time. We click to place as many of these on the path as we see fit. So I'm just going to place a few of those down, like so. Once you're happy, we can press escape and cancel that command. As well as placing down the outline, we also have the ability to go ahead and insert profile. So I can click insert profile and that will select and insert a profile onto my drawing, which shows me the profile of the car that I've used to place for that path. So if you've done several paths for different criteria of a vehicle, you can place them down onto your drawing, which will enable the people that are reading that drawing to understand what car templates have been used to place them in and around that design. So very quickly, we could place the paths for different vehicles, identify and see how they move around the site. Do I need to make any changes? And go through as necessary. What I really like is the control that you get on the car. So as well as being able to come in and add this car in, I'm going to say to add another auto drive arc. I'm going to change my vehicle first this time. So open your Vehicle Library Explorer and let's go ahead and make a different one default. So standard design vehicle, that one. Brilliant. So I'm going to make this car sit front ways into this space, like so. And then I can show you that as well as drawing forwards, if I was to drag behind this car, it will also allow the car to reverse. And it will understand that when the car is reversing, it has a much smaller turning circle than if it was going forwards. And obviously the arc of the car as it reverses, your front bumper is going to swing out more than if you're going forward, so on and so forth. So I can anticipate, okay, this car needs to reverse out of this space. So I can come and draw that in using the tools that we have here. And then I can change that into a forward and get the car to then continue to drive out the car park and back round to the exit. Going to be a little bit rough and ready, like a boy races Friday night at Tesco's car park. And we're going to drive out and rejoin the main carriageway like so. So as well as drawing your vehicle's forward motion, you can also draw your vehicle's reverse motion. And the same functionality is true. You'll notice that at the point where you have finished your transition from reverse into forward gear, that it places your car down so you can see where the extremities were, check for access issues, and away you go. Again, a really easy to use set of tools. If you're doing site planning or master planning, I don't understand how you could do this stuff without having this tool. So certainly give it a download and give it a try. What's also really cool, although it's only 2D in this drawing that I've got here, so it's not that exciting, is I can animate what I've got, and I can also do a design check. So if you choose design check, it will look at your paths and it will give you feedback based on the path that you've drawn. In my case, my front-facing path is absolutely fine, but my rear-facing path is actually saying that my angle exceeds 95% what this car would be able to do. So it's given me a warning about, a full lock steering situation, which will be when I came out of that space and then did a full lock steering situation. So again, it gives you some feedback. But then as well as that feedback, we can animate one of our paths. That will give us this small window appear here. And with the animation, we can stay in 2D if we want to. So if we go ahead and press play, oh, that's annoying. Let's get a bit closer. If we hit animate, go ahead and press play, it's going to animate our path in that 2D view. Again, allowing us to visualize that car as it comes backwards out of the space and then goes forward and off around the rest of the car park. We can play that either slow or fast, so we can speed this up as much as we want to. And actually, it gives us a pretty smooth and good representation about what's going on, which is really, really nice. As well as that, you can also go on a 3D view. So if this had some information brought in from Forma or from Revit or something like that, we can grab that path and we can animate it using a 3D camera. We go ahead and hit this animate in 3D view. That changes the view to 3D. And then we can just basically go ahead and press play. And we get a 3D representation of our car, which is all the way on the other side of the map. Let's speed it up and wait for it to pop up around this corner. Any minute. There it is. So it is terrible, but it's quite useful. Imagine if you've got some blocky buildings in here. This is only as good as the block information that you put in at the end of the day. But to come in, let's slow it down. To come in and be able to do that kind of workflow is really quite nice. And again, you've got that functionality out of the box. If you need to do something other than a car, it also supports that as well. So when you go into that auto drive arc, we can come in and we can really control what that vehicle is. So I've gone back to this articulated vehicle here because I want to show it to you because it's interesting. So if I come up to, where are we? Further up the drawing here, we've got this kind of junction. And what I want to do is place my articulated lorry at this junction and spin it around so it's waiting like so. And then even though this is a more complicated vehicle, in this case it's an articulated bus, we still drive it in the same way. It's just a little bit finicky, especially if you've never done something like reverse an articulated bus before. When you put them into reverse, they're quite difficult to keep going in the way that you want them to. But nonetheless, press proceed and we can start drawing our bus and it will understand exactly what's going on and allow you to draw. So in this case, we can't just turn the corner like we did with the car. We have to think about taking a wider line around that corner in order to be able to navigate that road successfully and safely. And we can come round and draw that like so, just like we did with the other component. If we want to then switch this into reverse, and everyone laughed at me when I try and reverse an articulated bus around the corner, we can move backwards from the arc. That will start drawing in reverse. I'm going to do as many clicks as I can to try and get this around without making it intersect. If you get into a situation where it jackknifed or something like that, then you would lose the ability to draw the path. But nonetheless, actually that's worked quite well. Hit return, and we've got that articulated lorry path in there as well. And once again, the same ability, such as placing the profile for that, such as placing different vehicle imprints on that particular road, you can do that, and it picks up the properties at that particular point on the path, which is really, really useful. And although I'm doing a site plan here, there are loads of different vehicles in there. So if I go onto my auto drive arc once more, and this time when I assign my auto drive arc, let's go and place it over in a field facing that way. I can go into my vehicle library, and this time I can say that I want to maybe pick up an aeroplane or a forklift truck or something that is not a road vehicle, if you like. So let's come and have a look what we've got right at the top. I've got aircraft and support vehicles, for example. Let's pick up a commercial aircraft from Airbus, and let's pick up an A380. So a big old liner. Let's proceed. That places the A380 here, and it works in exactly the same way. So whilst this is completely unrealistic, this is assuming it driving along the floor and taxiing, so it's not flying. But for the purpose of this, it's quite nice to show an A380 flying around. And again, you get all of the same controls and workflows that you've got with a car. You can reverse it, you can see how it changes and how it works. And just because I can fly an A380 around my drawing, which is really very cool. And again, all the same functionality exists. And that's just using the auto drive functionality. So you've got manual drive, which is allowing you to be a little bit more specific when you're coming in and creating your paths. You've got vertical clearance. So if you've got a 3D model and you want to see what clearance you've got, you can process that with the vertical clearance tool, all the way through to looking at parking spaces and adding roundabouts as well. I'm not going to go through all of that today. There are other videos on our YouTube channel from my colleague Richard. So again, check out our channel and see what other stuff we've got on there if you are interested and want to learn a little bit more about vehicle tracking. But for today, that's kind of all I wanted to show. Really easy to learn. You know, we're 28 minutes into a 30-minute YouTube live, and if you followed along, you should be very happily drawing vehicle paths around your site plans, forwards, reverse, and with a little bit more effort, you could add some roundabouts, add parking calculations, so on and so forth. I really hope that's been beneficial. Thank you. I pressed the wrong button. I hope that's been very beneficial. Thank you ever so much for watching. We'll join you the same time next week where we do something else on YouTube Live. Maybe give us some feedback, drop us a message on LinkedIn, let us know what you would like to see. But until then, take care, happy vehicle drawing, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.